I'm here to talk with you a little bit today about community land trusts. I know we have a tight timeline, so I'm going to move pretty quickly, and I'll keep an eye on Hannah to know when my time is up. So, first, can I ask how many of you are familiar with the community land trust model? Okay, so and there are actually some experts in the room, so if I get anything wrong here, please chime in and let me know what I missed, all right? So, community land trust is a nonprofit organization more often than not, though there is one in this region that operates with the Community Action Agency. And typically these organizations will acquire a property and sell the structure on top of the property, but maintain ownership of the land. So that's one layer of cost savings for a home buyer. And it's also the way that they can enforce deed restrictions on the property so they can reach short-term rental, so that they can cap the resale value of the home to help keep it affordable going forward. So the affordable purchase price is typically geared toward a specific geography. This model has been used pretty successfully out west, where you have a lot of rural recreational gateway communities, where people have to go and ski somewhere, and then suddenly houses are like $3 million a piece. This has been a model to help them preserve some of that housing stock so that workers there can actually afford to live in the communities where they are employed. So they're resale restricted to income-eligible buyers, and they're never a vacation home or short-term rental. There are already 5 established here in Wisconsin, and you can see the green houses around. I live up in Bayfield County, Ashland area, so I'm going to a CLT that serves both counties. And then there are several that are in planning stages, and I hope that we can add some more to that map in the near future. It is, I just wanted to draw attention, this report came out in 2023, and it was by the Governor's Health Equity Council, and they specifically named community land trusts as models that can help ensure that people have access to stable and affordable housing. So again, how they work, I tried to put it in simple terms. I know it can be sort of a complicated prospect, but the great thing about this model is that it's very, very flexible, and you can adapt it to the needs of a given community. And they can work for all kinds of different things. They're not always limited to just residential properties. Sometimes they also include commercial spaces that can be affordable for emerging entrepreneurs. For example, the CLTs in Door County and up in the Chesapeake Bay both serve households up to 120% of area median income, but the other 3 in the state that are already established only go up to 80. So depending on where the need is and the opportunities, Door County and the Chesapeake Bay area are both some of those rural recreational gateways where it's really challenging to find and maintain housing that is affordable for workers. How are they funded? Well, again, they come in all shapes and sizes, and they're nonprofit organizations that can often qualify for grant funds. In our case, we received funding from WIDA through the Rural Affordable Workforce Housing Initiative, and then we matched that with a grant from the Minnesota Housing Partnership, as well as funds directly from Bayfield County, and then some private philanthropists that are concerned about the issue. So be pretty creative. There is a really cool model in Duluth called One Roof, where they have brought basically everything that costs them money into their organization so that they can profit from it. So they have a real estate brokerage within the organization. They also have a development company that is affiliated so that they don't have to go out and find contractors to do the work on the homes they have in their portfolio, which is really nice if you've looked for a contractor lately. I don't know how it is down here, but where I live, it's about a 2-year wait. So having those folks on staff to work on their homes is really, really valuable, and they can provide services that generate revenues. I'm sure that you guys have already talked about this with some of the other presenters, but you can see clearly that the median home sales price has increased at a much faster rate than household incomes, and so really there's an affordability problem. And when I talk about affordability, I'm thinking about the definition that HUD uses, where a household is not using more than 30% of their household income on housing-related expenses, right? So if we were to take that 30% of your income as what is affordable for housing, and for this chart, I know that this doesn't apply to everybody in the room, but for Vernon County, median household income in 2023 was just under $70,000. Meanwhile, 2024, the median price single-family home was $251,000. So you can see that the annual income that you would need to buy a home at the median price was higher than what the median income is in the region. So to kind of put that another way, if you were making that $70,000 median household income, that leaves you about $1,700 a month for housing costs if they're going to be affordable. So if you're going into what is currently an average of 7% interest on a median priced home in your county, if you want a monthly mortgage payment that is less than 30% of your income, so under that $1,739 a month, you're gonna have to come to the table with a $57,000 down payment to get that rate on a mortgage. I don't know about you, but I'm not sitting on about 60 grand in the bank just for fun. So, just to talk about some of the other programs that exist when we think about housing affordability, there are oftentimes down payment assistance, right? Subsidies that we can layer in to help first-time home buyers afford a new home. And the problem with that is if you don't have some kind of resale restriction in place that sort of holds the ceiling, then those homes are just going to get more and more expensive over time, which means that you just have to add a bigger and bigger subsidy to keep that home affordable for working class people. And then there are some programs where you get the subsidy, but then you sell your home and you have to pay back the subsidy as down payment assistance. It's a zero interest deferred payment loan type of situation. And that's great, but because when that money comes back into the revolving loan fund and then gets lent out again, the price has gone up on the house. That subsidy is not as useful as it once was. However, in the community land trust, that initial subsidy stays with the property forever. So even if you are a CLT home buyer and you get a subsidy that makes the home more affordable for you, you don't get to pocket that cash when you sell the place. It stays with the house. So between that and a resale restriction that is enforced by the ground lease, which is why the nonprofit keeps the land underneath, those two things working together over time keep that home affordable without additional subsidy. So a lot of the CLTs will say, that it's a perpetual affordability mechanism, which Lord knows we can certainly use it. So you can see how they perform over time. And we have a lot of data that backs this up. These organizations have been around since the 1960s or so. But just to kind of revisit, how does this work again? The CLT will make the initial affordability investment, so that's typically that subsidy that gets layered in that stays with the property. And then the income eligible buyer gets a mortgage for just the home, not the land. The affordability investment stays with the land, not the buyer. And as that home increases in value over time, so does the value of that initial subsidy, helping to keep that home affordable for folks in the long term. And it is a little bit different than regular home ownership, but if you are the person buying a CLT home, you can still do all the things that you would if you owned the home otherwise. You can paint all the walls, you can take care of the lawn, put in gardens, whatever you want to do. But these kinds of programs are typically for people that otherwise would be stuck in the world of renters for the foreseeable future. There are lots of great examples out of the Milwaukee CLT where people are spending almost twice what they do in rent in order to, or they pay astronomically more rent when their home mortgage payment can be about half. It makes a big difference, and it's just better use of resources, but it also gives people that kind of ownership and the opportunity to build equity and have some stability as homeowners over time. But for CLT homes, typically you have to go through an orientation just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, and 10 years down the road, there's no disagreement over whether you get to walk away with that subsidy or not. There's no like, oh, I don't remember sending that paperwork. You make sure that everybody is understanding the arrangement. And it's kind of a pay it forward situation. You won't profit as much when you flip that house and sell it and move on, but you will walk away with the equity that you've earned, the time that you've had there, and the next buyer will get a home that is also affordable. So those initial subsidy dollars are going to keep working for households going forward. About 1 minute, okay. So lots of benefits to the communities. Close to 87% of new CLT homeowners in 22 were first-time home buyers, and many people, 70% of CLT home buyers go on to buy market rate after they've had that chance to build equity as homeowners. These are some of the organizations that have a lot of resources if you want more information. And if you want, you can scan the QR code that will take you directly to this presentation, and all the links are active, so you can do a little bit of your own follow-up, your sort of plan. I'm going to call it there. Thank you very much.